a pretty depressing story, just like the last time I spoke? No, really it's not. So, I started a company in 1997, and because this is the conference that reminds us of 1997, I thought I'd tell a story from that time. We had got a lot of money, and that meant we had an office that was on a really busy street, and I had my own office that faced out, and we could see people walking by on a daily basis, and we were bored a lot, or we must have been, because we decided we were going to put $2 bills in the tree above the sidewalk in front of our house. Little social experiment to see who would actually do something about it. And so we put the $2 bills up in a tree, and they were just, we measured and made sure that they were just out of reach, but that you could get them if you stood on the hill and jumped as hard as you could and grabbed them. So it was a little bit difficult. And so we would see regular people walk by, and we thought we had money on how long it would take for the $2 bills to get taken out of the tree. 2 weeks later, the $2 bills are still in the tree and nobody has taken it. And so we decided to build some signs that said there are $2 in the tree, and you should reach up there and grab those $2 because they will be yours. We had them coming from both directions, so if you were walking this way and the $2 bills were in the tree there, you would see a sign that said there are $2 bills, and if you were coming from the other way, you would see that there were $2 bills in the tree, and it was plainly obvious there were $2 bills in the tree. And there would be people who would walk by every day, and we would actually stand out there. We'd have our friend Bobby, who was an 18-year-old programmer who we could get to do anything. He would stand there and say, "Excuse me, sir, there are $2 bills in that tree. They are yours if you would like them." And people would ignore him and say, "No, thank you, really, I don't need them." And people would pass by forever. So we decided to up the ante a little bit, and we put money on the ground. There was coins of various denominations on the ground. Some of them loose, but we decided that those would be obvious. People pick up money off the ground all the time. There's no joke there. Somebody dropped it, and it's not a trap. But we glued one of them to the ground because we thought that at least that would make it interesting if we saw somebody trying to pick them up. Just seeing somebody pick up a dime and walk off is not really that interesting. So there's like 50 cents that got taken pretty quick, and we never did see it because we actually go home at the end of the day. But the one that was glued on the ground stayed there for a while for obvious reasons. And we saw one guy, there are $2 bills in the tree hanging above his head, and he has a can of soda. He's drinking the can of soda, and he sees the I think it was a quarter. He sees the quarter on the ground, and he reaches over to pick it up, and he's down there doing this thing, and he looks at it, and he's looking at it from multiple angles, thinking, what's going on here? So he gets his can of soda and says, brilliant idea. I'm going to pour this can of soda on the quarter. So he pours his can of soda on the quarter, thinking that might loosen it up. And so immediately, all the economic majors in the room, which were none of us, decided that that wasn't very economical. So we decided that his can of soda probably cost him 50 cents. And that pouring the can of soda was no good. And so he decides to crush the can and chip away at the coin. Probably now he's realizing the economics as well. And so he decides that, getting that thing is really the last thing he needs to do in his life, and that he's really better just do it. So he ends up getting the quarter with the chipping. It actually worked. And maybe he deposited the can and ended up with 30 cents. So the $2 bills, though, are still in the tree. They're hanging there still with signs that are faded now because it's been about, I think it's a sum total of like 4 weeks now that they've been up there. And amazingly, they don't fade in the sun. You'd think dollar bills would fade after 4 weeks. They stay pretty good. So one day, a family comes along. Well, we think they're a family. We weren't really sure. It was a little boy and a little girl. They're probably 3 or 4, and there's a mother. And there was a very, I don't know how to put this in a sensitive way, but we think that she was of the Forrest Gump type. We don't know. We never met her. But in any case, there's a very large mopey kind of woman hanging out with this other family. And they had actually, they glanced at it, and the kids were just like, "There's money in the tree, everybody, check it out." And the kids, innocent kids, spotted that. But they actually walked past, and we had like 10 people in my office just going, oh, we have a bite, first time. But no, they continued on, and we were pretty crestfallen, and we went about our daily routine. But then we saw them coming back, and this time it was obvious they meant business. They had thought about this for a while, and they had come back to, they were going to get it. So the first thing that happens is the mother of this group decides that she can like run and jump, but she's not as tall as us. So we tested with the parameters of somebody about my height. She's a little shorter, so she's not getting it. And she decides that she can climb this tree, and this tree is not very large. It's it's just like an average little tree. And so she's trying to shimmy up it, and she can't do it. And then, for as far as we could tell, these were commands. They weren't necessarily requests. She turns to the mopey-looking woman, and she says, and so the mopey-looking woman gets down on her hands and knees, like this, and the other woman climbs on top and gets into the tree. But the problem is, she's not long enough to get out on the limb to get the dollar bills. So the mopey-looking woman has a plan, and she decides to take the trunk of the tree while the other woman's in it and shake the hell out of the tree. And the tree's shaking, things are falling out, there's birds flying away, and it's still not working. So the mopey-looking woman she stands up as the other woman is still in the tree, and at this point the other woman can now stand on the shoulders of the other woman, who is out on the very limb of the tree, and it's sagging, and we have CFOs coming in saying, "Do we have insurance for this?" And I'm telling them, yes, everything's fine. This will go on the internet, and we'll make all the money back that we'd ever get. We got sued. And the woman gets the $2, and scurrying around the base of the tree are these two children. And the woman drops one bill at a time, and one of the kids is just like, "Pinata!" or whatever, just really excited about money falling from the tree. And the other one gets it too, and we're just excited as, everything. Everybody's just going ecstatic and bonkers inside the office because this whole experiment finally came to an end. And then what we didn't realize, though, is that these women, there's women and one little boy, they disappeared for a while, and we sort of forgot about them. And then they came back, and they all had McDonald's. And we think that was their lunch money, and that's why they were so excited. So, a little sad end to that, but in any case.
Michael Buffington.